everyone, welcome back to A Life of KG. I hope you're all having a great week. Today I was mega excited because I got to interview the lovely Bryony. I'm sure all you lash artists out there have heard of Bryony and seen her work. She's super inspirational and her work is just stunning. She is a judge, she's also an award-winning lash artist, and she's been published in many magazines as well. So without further ado, here she is. Hi Bryony, how are you doing?
Hi, Katie. How are you? I'm good.
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for joining me.
That's okay.
So, obviously, we've got quite a bit to talk about. First, I wanted to go on and say, obviously, we all have a story. So, what is kind of like your story, and what was the reason you went into lashing?
Well, I went into Lash Inc 4.5 years ago. I was about 23 at the time with two really, really young kids. And if I'm honest, I was on benefits at the time, and my youngest was getting a little bit older. The oldest had started going to school. So I really just wanted something just to make some money, to be honest with you. Obviously, I didn't really have much. And being a mum, such a young mum as well, it was very lonely. So I thought, what is there out there that I could do from home? And somebody gave me the idea of lash extensions, and I didn't even know what they were, to be honest. And I went and Googled it, and I was like, oh, I'm quite handy with a pair of tweezers. Like, I think I'll be all right at that. So I literally booked onto the nearest, cheapest course that I could, and it was in 2 days' time. And I thought, do you know what? I am just going to go for it. And yeah, I did.
Oh wow! So, how did you find like the cheapest nearest course?
Very, very bad. Just quickly, can I swear on here? Is that allowed?
Yeah, no, go for it. Be yourself.
Perfect. Yeah, it was shit. Yeah, it was. But obviously, I didn't realise that until I'd been in the industry for about, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, and I started joining Facebook forums and stuff and seeing what other people were talking about and just reading all of the posts. It just slowly kind of clicked in that actually I'd barely been taught anything. I'd literally been taught to put a lash on a lash, and that was pretty much it. So yeah, it was quite a big shock, and I thought, oh, okay, obviously it was my own fault because I didn't really research.
Mhm.
Again, I just went for it, and it was cheap, and obviously I didn't have a lot of money, so I thought, oh, stuff it, I'll go for it. But yeah, it took me a few months to then kind of gather that actually it was really, really bad. So yeah.
Oh, okay. And so obviously that's what we're dealing with in the industry at the moment, isn't it? New people coming on board, and we are actually all the newbies are looking for the cheapest and quickest course to do. But I think it's not until you've actually learned that you realise that that's actually not the way forward. So did you go on to any courses after that?
Yeah, I did. Although I think I have to point out as well that actually it's not just cheap courses that are bad nowadays, and that's actually the problem. I teach. I see a lot of students, and they obviously tell me about their previous training, and actually some of the most expensive training is really poor as well. And I think that's what's making it now even more confusing, because people are like, oh, don't go for a cheap course, but also ultimately you just can't tell from price, because either way it can be really good or really bad. So yeah, I've trained since. So I trained with Frankie Widows in Volume. I trained with Vicky Rugg and Maven as well, and I've also done a course with Rachel Bridges from Lessons in Lash Artistry as well, which I learnt a lot from. So yeah, I've taken further education since, and I do definitely think it's important.
Yeah, definitely. And that's with some pretty amazing people. So that's cool. So obviously, like, you're one of the most respected lash artists in the UK now. Like, did you ever imagine that it would get this far when you started out?
That is so weird to hear. I hate hearing that. It's like, even my student today, she said to her friend, she was like, oh, I'm practically meeting a celebrity. And it's very, very strange, because when I first started, I did look at all of these names, and I was just like, oh my God, like I would love to be up there, but it's just never, it's never going to happen. Do you know what I mean? But apparently it did. I can't remember the question now.
What about like what do you think the turning point for that was? Like what was the reason it was like, okay, you go to Lash In and just obviously not really knowing anyone in the industry, to you obviously being who you are, and obviously everyone's so excited when you start liking their photos and they share it and you're like this little mini celeb in the lash world. Like what do you think was the turning point for that?
I think I was about sort of 7 months in, and I was in a Facebook group, like a paid for one, and they did a little competition. So obviously I was only classic trained then, and I entered it and I ended up winning it. And although again it was only, you know, a small group of people that entered, the people that, you know, the judges were really well respected people within the industry, and they sort of said to me, you know, you really are quite good. And then everybody sort of said, oh, you know, you're really talented. And I was a bit like, I didn't really get it. Do you know what I mean? And I think, and I had never viewed lashing as long term at the time. I just thought, well, you know, for now it's a little bit of money, but realistically I need a proper career. So it really was just to get me by when the kids were younger. But I definitely think it was then that I thought, oh, actually, I might actually be good at this. Do you know what I mean? And it was, yeah, that was, and I still remember winning that competition, and I think I cried as well. And I was just so happy. I thought, oh my God, I'm actually good at something. So definitely think that was a massive point for me. And again, just people starting to, I guess, pay interest in my work, saying, oh, you know, you're really good and stuff. And I was like, what? It was, even now I'm like, it's still very, very strange for me, because I think I've just always done what comes naturally. So, but yeah, that was definitely a big change for me, I think.
Oh, that's so good. So I'm guessing that you push your students to go on to competitions and stuff. Is that something that you kind of recommend for them? Because I know obviously I've won competitions as well, and it does just push your career so much more further.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do encourage them to do so, because not only not only is it a great experience to compete, but you learn so much. And I definitely did from my first competition, in my first in-person one. I think I'd won 2 online ones before that. And especially when I went to Lash Battle, I was so inexperienced with volume, and the fact that I got second place, I was like, oh my God. But I learned so much from that. I didn't, you know, just even looking at the criteria and looking at my points and going, you know, even things like, I remember looking at my distance points and they were pretty terrible. And I thought, I've never even thought about distance before. That was never something that was really taught to me by anybody. It was just stick the lash on. So, yeah, I think you learn so much from that. And that's when I really started to think about things like styling and stuff as well. So I think competitions are good. You just have to remember that they're not the be all and end all, I think, for sure. But yeah, I definitely push my students and even my educators as well. One of them, Jade, she won quite a few awards this year for competitions, and you know, I do try and encourage everybody to do it, because if you win, it's such a great feeling, but also again, it's just that experience, and you learn so much from it as well.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously you're teaching now. What kind of made you wanted to go into teaching, and what is different between your courses and everyone else's?
I think one day I'd been lashing about maybe 18 months, if that, and somebody I was just sort of friends with, because I've always been very, very active on social media, you know, taking in everybody's information and asking lots of questions and stuff, and just learning. I think I learned and progressed so quickly from that. And somebody just said one day, oh, like, if I come to you and lash in front of you, can you just tell me what I'm doing wrong? And I was like, okay, I'll give it a go. I don't know how well it will go. But it did go amazing. And then I got a few more people. So that was where my kind of mentoring began. And I just really wanted to help people, I guess. And I think, although I never thought about teaching before, because I thought I never wanted to sort of teach in a school, but I remember even as a kid, I used to teach my younger cousin English and stuff. So, and I always had quite a good way of explaining stuff. So I think yeah, I think that was when it sort of began. And then I just mentored for about 6, 7, 8 months. And then people started asking me for the beginner courses. And I was like, and I had taken people from mentoring from such a beginner stage to quite advanced quite quickly. And the results were absolutely amazing. And I thought, well, yeah, I probably could teach a beginner course. So then I wrote my own courses. I mean, they have changed a hell of a lot since then. And just went for it. And again, the results and the feedback from my students just kind of told me that was maybe the way that I needed to go. And I learned so much from teaching. I'll watch somebody else do something and then I'll think in my head, right, how do I do that? And then how can I explain to people how to improve that? So every time I teach, that improves my own lashing, and then when I lash, that improves my teaching, and it all just kind of rolls into one. And I think that's probably what's different about my training to other people's is I'm very adaptable. So, all I have, my students come in and I have a chat with them for 5-10 minutes, ask them a few questions, and I can kind of gather their knowledge just from that, and then start going on to different topics. And I kind of work how they work. For instance, I get a lot of students come to me for volume and they want to learn the wiggle. But then I will look at their technique and say, well, actually, with a few tweaks, your technique is fine. So, perhaps let's work on that instead of starting all over again. And again, I can learn to work with them. I can work with right-handed people, left-handed people. I can work on my hand. I can do different techniques. So I can really mould myself to suit them and make their lashing better, because my overall belief is that there is no rules in lashing, apart from, the standard don't stick people's eyes together, etc. But other than that, everybody has their own way of lashing. And ultimately, if the end result is good and it's safe, it doesn't matter how you get there. And I think I do my best to give my students as much aftercare as possible as well. Especially in terms of like case studies and stuff. Some of my students take 6 months to a year to pass because I will not sign them off. And that's the same with my educators as well. They're very, very strict, and I pass off all their students as well. So myself and them are always looking to create a lash artist rather than just, someone up the road who just does shitty lashes. We're always wanting to create a really, really high standard. And I just think that, education needs to be of a high standard. So I think that's probably what, differs my training. And it's always just very, very personal, very relaxed. I'm not like, do this, do that, or follow the rules. It's just about being comfortable and finding your own way. And that's how you progress into a lash artist, I believe, as well.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. How many educators have you got on board now?
And I think it's 5.
Wow.
Yeah, 5. Yeah, so yeah, there's 6 of us in total. So yeah.
Wow, that's so good. And what kind of do you look for an educator to come in under your brand? What do you look for in them?
First of all, they have to have good skills. I mean, that is first and foremost. There's no way you can teach somebody something if you don't have top quality, skills of a high standard. I like them to also be adaptable. So, I don't want somebody who's just good at like really full volume. I want them to be able to cater to different clients, and because again, that's what I deem a real lash artist. So, they've got to be good at classic, they've got to be good at light volume, fuller volume, and knowing how to adapt to each client as well. So first of all, they've got to be a shit hot lash artist.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, they have to have that. I definitely have a personal connection with all of my trainers. It's not a case of, oh yeah, you're good, you can train for me. It's never ever been like that, and it never will be. I said in a post on Instagram a little while ago that I probably could have millions of trainers if I wanted by now, but they have to be a certain kind of person. And also they have to be hardworking. Absolutely, they've got to put the graft in. They have to be passionate. They've got to be as batshit crazy about lashes as I am. Otherwise, they're just no good to me. and obviously knowledgeable as well. You know, not only are they able to do a good set of lashes, but they know the theory behind it, and they're able to get that across to their students, and again be adaptable just like I am. So I think they're the main things that I look for. And you know what, somebody who is willing to work hard for it as well. You know, I didn't just pick up my trainers from anywhere. You know, they've worked hard from it, and they still do all of the time as well. So yeah, they're very passionate, very hardworking, and they care so much for the industry as well. For us, it's not just about making money, it's really about making, you know, a difference as well, and keeping that standard really, really high.
Definitely, that's brilliant. I totally agree. So what is your favourite part of this industry, would you say?
I definitely has to be the community. Although obviously, you know, we're all women, it all gets a little bit tense and a little bit bitchy. And, you know, certainly for me, I'm very, very, very honest because I'm so passionate about it. And yeah, anybody listening has probably seen a few of my debates online before. I love a good debate. But I love that, you know, for the majority of it, we all support each other. And for me, the best part is the friends that I've made. You know, all of my trainers, some of my students are now my best friends. And again, you know, some of my trainers like Vicky Rugg, she is one of my best friends. So for me, absolutely, if I didn't have that friendship of the girls, I don't think that it would be as fun, and I don't think it would be as rewarding. And again, we've all got to support each other. You know, yes, we are in competition or whatever, but you know, there's enough clients to go round, there's enough students to go round, and we can all work together. And again, just kind of having that sort of woman community, especially when you're self-employed and you work alone, you know, it can be quite lonely when you just work from home all day. You know, obviously you have your clients, but you know, those people to talk to, and you know, have a laugh, and you know, get your anger out about your bad clients and whatever. So I definitely think that's probably the biggest part. And actually, just for me, being a really independent woman, I think it's changed me so much personally, and made me very, very headstrong. So yeah, you know, my personal life, that's it's just my world. I think lashing absolutely kind of saved my life, I think. So yeah, it, you know, it enables me to be a really independent, strong woman as well, which is the same for all of us out there as well. I'm rambling now, sorry.
No, it just shows you're so passionate about it. It's lovely. I mean, it is. I love that side of it as well. Like, it is like one big family, and yeah, we do have the one or two scraps on the side, but
Yeah.
it is like a family, and there's always someone to help you. And some of my closest friends are literally from this industry as well that I never knew before. So it is really nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who would you say is your top 3 lash artists and that you look up to in the industry, and why?
So it's quite a hard one for me, actually. I'm not even going to lie, I'm a bit of a lash snob. Um, and for me, you know, like personality comes into it a lot, because somebody could be the most amazing person at lashes or whatever, but if they don't have the passion for it, then I'm not interested. But Vicky Rugg, 100 million%, because one, because she is my best friend, and two, because you know, she's definitely taught me a lot. And I just admire her because she's so, you know, she's herself, and again, she's kind of like me. She does this because that's what she's good at and that's what she loves. And so I think she definitely, you know, inspires me, and she's pushed me so much within my own lashing as well. So she's definitely number one. Number two, I would say, is probably Maven, so Trina from the USA.
Yeah.
And that's because she just has, again, she has so much passion for the industry, and she's so creative. I wish I could just have 1% of her creativity. You know, her training programs, the way they're designed, her graphics, and again, it's all from her heart, it's all herself. And you know, these are you know, her and Vicky as well, they've kind of made it just being themselves. They're not looking to be that number one, but naturally they kind of are, because they've just got it. Do you know what I mean? So she's definitely a huge inspiration to me as well. And number three, I can't really think of an individual person. I guess it would just have to be number one, all of my educators, because they inspire me every single day, again, with their hard work. And all of my students, you know, or especially the ones that I see them every day, they work so hard, and, you know, I'll give them advice and they take it and they run with it. I've had, you know, I've watched so many students from beginner, you know, progress to, you know, amazing lash artists, especially the ones that have, you know, come into this part-time with a full-time job that they're unhappy with, and they, you know, they're desperate to leave, and you just watch them build and build in confidence. And then, you know, one day they leave that full-time job and then they're full-time lashing and they are loving life, and again they just put so much hard work and passion into it. um, they're really the ones that inspire me, because I think I've helped that journey a little bit, so that inspires me to just do even better. So yeah, that's not just one person, that's probably just like lots and lots of people, but they definitely give me, you know, inspiration every single day to do better and to lash better and to teach better as well.
Yeah, that's great. And Vicky and Maven are amazing. So anyone listening, definitely check them out. Definitely.
Absolutely, yes. If anyone listening doesn't know who they are, I mean, seriously, where are you? You're in the dark ages.
Very true. Very, very true. So obviously we all know how business is so up and down, and we talk about that on this podcast quite a lot. What would you say has been your highest point in business and your lowest point so far?
I'll start with the lowest because we'll be negative first. The lowest was definitely when I competed in Lash Battle in 2017, because I had won second place the previous year. And I'm not even going to lie, I went there in 2017 thinking, yeah, I've got this. I thought I was going to absolutely smash it and I was going to win and I was going to get all these trophies, and I won fuck all, and I did really, really shit, and I made such stupid mistakes, and I let myself mentally, like I built myself up too much and put way too much stress on myself when it really wasn't needed. Um, and after that, you know, the first day my classics had gone really, really badly, and I think my 3 to 4D, and I cried all the way home and I cried all night because I was so frustrated with myself, because I knew I could do better. And then I think for me that, and then I had dramatic volume the day after, and I went in there I'd already lost, you know. I didn't go in with the right mental state, and I just let the competition take over me, I think. um, and I remember having a chat with Hannah, and I had a little cry. I always seem to cry on her for some reason. And she said to me, she said, you know what, it doesn't matter, like, you know, if you win or lose a competition, it doesn't define you as a lash artist. It doesn't mean that you're shit. She said, you know, not everybody is able to deal with that stress of a competition, and in fact you could be the best lash artist in the world, but on the day you don't perform your best, and you know you can't, basically, you know, you can't take it personally. So although that helped, and it is so true, I did, you know, mentally I did make myself ill over that competition. It was so silly, you know, just for the fact of a trophy. It was really, really silly. So, and I think my confidence for a good couple of months was really, really knocked, until I, you know, just kind of gave myself a kick up the arse and thought, come on, you're better than this. So that was definitely my biggest low, I think. I think one of the biggest highs was, again, Lash Battle, but last year. Yeah, so last year when I went as a judge, first of all, when I got that email, oh my God, like I nearly wet my pants. I was so excited because, and I was asked to be a floor judge, so I wasn't judging the lashes, but even to me, you know, to be asked by a company that is so well recognised, that I had trained with in the past and thought so highly of, I was just like, oh my God. So I went there, and then it was like fate. So one of the judges basically didn't turn up. So they come to me, and I'd been watching the dramatic volume work as well. I'd seen how hard these girls had worked for 4.5 hours. And they come to me and they was like, Bryony, a judge has pulled out. Like, do you think you can judge? And I just sort of looked at them for a second and I was like, fuck yeah. And I literally ran to the room. I was like, there is no chance anybody is getting in there before me. And I got to judge work, which for me, I just think if you're judging somebody else's work, like how can you get higher than that? Like that's such an amazing place to be in. And I really, really enjoyed it. You know, I did my absolute best. And again, because I'd been in that place where, you know, you're sitting there waiting for your work to be judged and you're thinking, you know, I hope they're, you know, that they're being fair, etc. And, you know, I just did my very, very best to be fair to everybody. And, you know, I took it very, very seriously. And I just loved it, absolutely loved it. And I felt so great after. I just thought, wow, like that's such an important time in somebody's, you know, career, and I've just been a massive part of that. So I think that's probably my proudest moment ever within the industry. Although winning the trophy the year before, a couple of years before, was huge as well. But I definitely think being a judge was just amazing. I loved every single minute of it, and again, it's such an important role. So, you know, I helped somebody, I guess, achieve their dreams, and, you know, obviously that's what they deserved when they got, you know, full marks. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, it's so amazing judging. I absolutely adore it, and I think we're both judging Lash Social, aren't we, this year?
yes, I'm so
I
excited.
know, so exciting, and I get to see you again.
I know, and I just love. I'm so sadistic. I love taking my tweezers to other people's work and like going through it and going, I love it. It's so fun, and you know, seeing beautiful work as well, and seeing how hard those girls work, or men as well, because some men compete. So yeah, I'm so excited for it.
Yeah, it's going to be so fun. So, do you offer any lash artist advice if they were starting out? What would it be?
Um, I would say now, I know further education is important, absolutely, and you do need to keep training, but actually, my best advice is to self-learn. I think, you know, research. You can never ever research so much. Even now, I'm continuously researching. I spend hours, you know, looking at stuff and going through posts, and, you know, use social media to your advantage. You know, and it's even bigger now than when I started. And, you know, a lot of people are willing to give free advice. So yes, you know, you do have to pay for great education, but you can find the most amazing tips and tricks and stuff online actually for free as well. And even just things like for people who want to learn more about styling, you know, take full face pictures of your clients and just look at it. And even if you don't know what you're looking at, you know, try and have a guess. And the only way that you can ever improve and learn really is to learn from your mistakes. You know, and take constant pictures of your work as well, because that's what I do. I look back at my pictures and I zoom in and I think, right, what have I done there? You know, why does that not look right? How can I correct that next time? How can I push myself to be better? And just always have a goal, you know, think, I don't know, this month I want to get better at my distance, or I want to improve my placement, or, you know, have goals as well. You have to push yourself, because, you know, a lot of people will have a really good trainer who will give them advice and tips and try and push them, but, you know, some people also don't. So and that's, again, I think that's how I personally progressed so quickly, is, you know, just asking advice. And I was nicknamed a sponge by Angelina from Lash Factor, because she said I just soaked in all of the information, all of the advice that was given to me. So I really think that's my biggest tip to anybody is, you know, you can't just sit there and wait for somebody to tell you what to do, or, you know, wait to be good. You have to put the graft in, and you know, you have to keep self-learning, you know, judge yourself and critique yourself. I think the best lash artists out there don't really believe that they're all that good. Even myself, people will put, oh, your lashes are so perfect, and I'm like, actually, and then I've got a little list in my head of why they're not perfect. So, you know, none of us are perfect. And you just have to keep pushing yourself and actually learn from your mistakes. Some of my students get really upset when they do a bad set, and I'm like, but actually it's a good thing, because those are the sets that you are going to learn the most from. You cannot get better until you've made those mistakes. So again, even with the competition, you know, I learned so much from that. You just got to suck it up and get on with it, basically. Get those big girl panties on, and yeah, just get on with it and just keep going. That's probably my best advice.
No, that's so good. I'm pretty sure so many people are going to learn from that and take that on board. Bryony, I just want to thank you so much for coming on. I know we've both been juggling our kids around today to figure out how to get on tonight.
Oh, yes.
So thank you so much. You're such an inspiration. Your work's stunning, and I just love how down to earth and natural you are. It's brilliant. So thanks so much for coming on.
Oh, you're welcome. I hope anybody listening doesn't think, oh my God, what is she on about? I do tend to ramble on a little bit, but I love talking lashes. I get a bit too excited. So yeah, it's been fun.
No, it's wonderful. So just while we finish off, I'm sure everyone follows you on social media anyway, but if they don't, then how can they find you?
Okay, so on Facebook, if you are on Facebook, my page is Lash Artistry and Education by Bryony. And then on Instagram, I am at bryony.lay. And also, you should follow my training page, which is at Lay Training as well. And we do post a lot of tips and stuff like that on there. And obviously, you can see all of our beautiful work as well. So definitely give us a follow.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you.